Tonight, municipalities under review. Just months after cutting the size of Toronto, Queen's Park is eyeing city councils in the rest of the province.
I think each city has their own problems to deal with. They wouldn't be prioritized where they should be.
It's just supposed to be a cost-cutting exercise for now, but the amalgamation of cities isn't being ruled out.
Hey! Yeah, you're in a university crowd. This might be a tough crowd.
Trudeau Town Hall. The Prime Minister gets an earful at a town hall meeting at Brock University. And are millennials' eating habits putting convenience over financial security? Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. Ontario could be looking at another big overhaul to how its local governments work. Just months after Queen's Park reduced the size of Toronto City Council, the province is announcing plans to take a hard look at all 8 regional governments plus Simcoe County. This is what 2 special advisors will be putting under the microscope. Operations in a total of 82 municipalities across Oxford County, Waterloo and Niagara to the south, Muskoka and Simcoe County to the north, and here in the GTA, Halton, York, Peel and Durham regions. Amalgamations of some areas aren't being ruled out. Well, it just so happened Mayor John Tory was meeting today with mayors from the entire GTA and Hamilton region. Bonnie Crombie from Mississauga and Patrick Brown from Brampton were among more than a dozen leaders at City Hall for a pre-scheduled meeting. Both cities have raised issues with their Peel regional government in the past. Here's how they reacted to word of the review.
I hope that this will be a healthy conversation. I just say I hope that the municipalities and the region will be consulted sincerely as this process unfolds.
If, in fact, we are talking about a province that wants to, and a government that wants to deal and introduce a modern approach to governing for the people, then you have to listen to the people before you make changes.
This is an opportunity to look at how we can do things more effectively and more efficiently, and I made no secret that I think there are inefficiencies and duplication in 2 levels of government.
Now, to be clear, this is just a review at this stage, and the government is promising plenty of public consultations this spring, making the approach markedly different from the types of amalgamations tried in the past, like when former Premier Mike Harris made megacities out of Toronto, then Ottawa, Hamilton, and Sudbury. Some wondering tonight what changes are in store now. Taylor Simmons has more.
Near Square One in Mississauga, we asked shoppers how they'd feel if their city was pulled out of Peel region or merged with Brampton and Caledon.
There can be advantages to that, just kind of making it easier for the government.
I don't see any positives to that, really.
Each city has their own problems to deal with, whether it be of transit or anything along those lines, and to combine them would combine those problems.
To be clear, the government hasn't talked about amalgamating those cities at this stage, but combining cities isn't being ruled out. With today's announced review, Ontario's government is looking to make changes.
We believe it's an opportunity to review what's working and help make regional government more effective and efficient.
And no means no!
Amalgamation has been used before. Today's Toronto took shape in 1998 when the 6 cities in metropolitan Toronto merged together, sparking passionate protests.
The megacity which is being proposed is a solution which is looking for a problem to solve.
Quite frankly, I don't think many people would want to go back to what we had. Initially, there's resistance, then there's more accommodation, and then eventually acceptance. I'm not alarmed at this review. I think it's normal. It's consistent with the rapid growth in Ontario, especially in the urban areas.
But with the province's recent abrupt cuts to Toronto City Council still fresh, some are offering advice as the review moves forward.
Keep the structure of the cities as we have it, but have less politicians. Don't come down like a ton of bricks like we did in the city of Toronto, the very last minute.
The review is expected to be done in early summer, but some today questioned whether, 1, that's enough time to look into all the regions, and 2, if it's enough time for thorough consultation. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
Some tense moments at Credit Valley Hospital in Mississauga tonight as Peel Police tactical officers showed up responding to a possible threat.
This evening, just after 6 p.m., The Credit Valley Hospital behind me just received a phone call from an unknown male caller threatening a bomb threat.
The tactical team conducted a search with uniformed officers to locate any suspicious package, and police determined there was no danger to the patients, hospital, or staff. Traffic was restricted for vehicles and buses in the area, but ambulances were still able to transport patients. All restrictions have since been lifted. Police are investigating who made that call. A tragic start to the day here in Toronto. Early this morning, a person was crushed by a garbage truck in an alleyway near Adelaide and York Street downtown.
The preliminary information that we have at this point in time is that the person may have been sleeping in the alleyway. Obviously, a garbage truck is a very big vehicle, and if you're hit by a garbage truck, the person was obviously hurt very badly, very quickly.
This happened just before 6 a.m. Police say they think the truck was backing into the alleyway when it struck the victim. The driver remained at the scene. Police are investigating and are asking for any witnesses or anyone with surveillance video to come forward. It appears university and college tuition in Ontario may go down about 10%. The province is set to announce the reductions for university and college students. It would take effect for the 2019-2020 school year and then freeze the year after. The government says it would save the average university student about $660 and the average college student $340. And Justin Trudeau visiting one of Ontario's universities tonight. The Prime Minister holding the latest of his town hall meetings at Brock University in St. Catharines. Our Jacqueline Hansen was there.
It was the biggest town hall yet in his tour, 1,600 people. But many of the questions and the Prime Minister's answers weren't particularly new. He again addressed the handling of Indigenous land rights.
A look around the country and hear stories and see examples of great positive developments. But there are also continued challenges where Canada hasn't done enough yet, where there is still much more work to do. And the situation with the Wet'suwet'en is an unfortunate example of that, or we didn't do well enough.
He was asked about pipelines, Canada's transition to clean energy, and the legalization of marijuana. Some locals also brought their global concerns. Trudeau defended Canada's stance towards Venezuela.
Anyone who contends that they are a friend to the Venezuelan people should be very clear in standing up and condemning the Maduro government that has been responsible for terrible oppression, for terrible marginalization, for a humanitarian crisis.
He was also challenged for condemning the BDS movement, a boycott movement against Israel. But the Prime Minister says he will not change his stance. These town halls will continue for the next couple of weeks. The next stop is in Quebec on Friday. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, St. Catharines, Ontario.
Colin Kennedy's here with the first look at the forecast. Tomorrow's kind of an opposite day.
It is kind of an opposite day, Mike. Normally when we think about the weather, we think through the overnight hours, the temperature should fall, and through the daytime hours as you head into the afternoon, it should rise. And we're going to see a reversal of that, winds being a big part of it because of a cold front coming through. So out ahead of it, we're looking at these southwesterly winds, which are rather gusty. When you get into the purples, that's some of the stronger those are some of the stronger wind gusts that we're seeing. But as we go through the day on Wednesday, they turn first to the west, then to the northwest. So that's going to have a big impact on those temperatures. They'll start off milder tomorrow morning and then fall through the day. Plus, you factor in those winds giving a wind chill. So as we look ahead in terms of flurry activity, yes, some light flurries certainly possible, but the real trend with this cold front going through is going to be a clearing trend. So through the day, we'll find the clouds starting to recede into the afternoon hours. We should have more sunshine at least, even though you've got to deal with the colder temperatures into those afternoon hours. So -2 overnight tonight. It's actually going to come up closer to about the freezing mark, and then it's going to drop through the day to about -4 later tomorrow afternoon and continue to fall from there. And we've got that colder air to talk about, plus some possible snow for the weekend a little later in the show.
Make sure you have the hat and gloves for the ride home tomorrow.
Right. Take them in the morning, even though you may not don them then.
All right. Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
Well, just 3 more days for the winners of those 25 retail cannabis licenses to get their paperwork in order. They have until Friday to complete a lengthy application process as well as secure financing. The problem is the winners were chosen randomly and not all have retail experience. Well, that's why some cannabis companies are looking to partner with the lucky few. Our Greg Ross spoke to the president of one company searching out lottery winners.
Somebody could move into a space like this one.
That's
downtown
right.
Toronto.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Ready to go. We selected the space based on it being in an awesome location, good traffic, and then also the space is very well designed.
Kobe Smitillo is the president of Retail Go. They hold leases on 11 locations across the province, like this downtown Toronto location. All part of a much bigger plan hatched months ago that they had hoped would put them at the front of the line when it came to applying for retail marijuana licenses.
We've hired security consultants, architectural firm, a design firm to work with us on the fixturing, a branding marketing agency, and this was all in reliance on the government actually publishing statements about what the licensing requirements would be.
But that all changed when the Progressive Conservative government instead turned to a lottery process to decide who would be eligible for a license. It forced Retail Go to change its business model as well.
At a minimum, we'd like to see that see the light of day. So we are making that available to the lottery winners, and we're in discussions with a few of them.
You've got everything worked out to the point where somebody could just walk in and it's ready to go.
Turnkey solution if that's what they would like.
But Smitillo says Retail Go is facing serious competition from other cannabis producers making lucrative offers.
Saying, hey, here's a few $1 million, thanks very much.
I didn't expect to win, so I didn't prepare myself.
Clint Sukaran was awarded one of 6 licenses in the GTA. He's now working with a consulting firm to meet Friday's deadline, and he says the firm has received multiple proposals to partner with him.
Are you able to help somebody with financing as well?
Yes, we have access to financial resources. We've raised some money, and then we have some financial partners.
The Ontario government has stipulated that retail marijuana businesses won't be allowed to hold licenses if a cannabis producer owns more than a 9.9% stake in that company. In addition to that, lottery winners also have to retain primary ownership of their licenses. So at this point, it's not clear how these pot producers who want to get onto the retail side of things are getting around these regulations. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Are food delivery services causing millennial consumers to overspend on meals? We'll tell you why one financial planner says instead of skipping the dishes, they should focus on skipping those costly apps. Welcome back. Saving money can be a problem for many people, especially, it seems, many millennials. Experts say it's because they may go overspending on food because of just how easy it is for many to order dinner with an app on their phones. Kelda Yoon has the story.
When Leslie Hacker, a Toronto millennial, began taking a closer look at her finances, she noticed she was spending
approximately $1,000 a month
on food. And she's not alone. Many millennials are finding themselves overspending on the same thing.
We've been going out like every meal right now, so
I spend a lot of money on food, actually.
For Hacker, a lot of those meals are ordered through her phone.
I like Uber Eats and this one.
Skip the dishes?
Yeah, I like the Starbucks app too, actually. It's fast. When it's just me, a single person, it's harder to cook, I find. And it's like there's less motivation.
But it also comes at a cost.
There's the delivery fee, and then you have to tip the drivers.
Jessica Morehouse, a financial counselor who works with millennials, says she's noticed the trend.
Most of the time when I'm talking with clients, I'm like, so you're spending like $500 on eating out every month. Are you happy with that? Most of the time they're like, no, I wish I could use that money to go towards my emergency fund, paying down debt, go on an amazing trip.
But Morehouse, a millennial herself, says she also understands why her generation is spending more on food than previous ones.
We're kind of in that crunch time in our lives, whereas, Gen Xers and baby boomers have kind of, maybe the kids are out of the house, they've kind of got a little bit more time.
I feel like I'm always worried about not having time to cook.
So what is a time-starved millennial to do? Morehouse suggests ordering meal prep kits like Chef's Plate that have all the ingredients ready and is also cheaper.
So it really is that good middle ground if you're looking for something to kind of help you with your budget, eat healthy, and just help you with those kind of time constraints.
Morehouse also says the first thing to do is to track your spending for a few months to identify patterns. As for how much you should be spending on food, she says 10 to 20% of your gross income is a good starting point. And she says if you really want to save, it's best to delete those apps. But that might be a bit harder.
No. No.
It's too hard.
Yeah, I don't think. Maybe one day, I hope.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Things will be different.
A Guyanese politician has fled to Toronto fearing for his life because of a controversial vote that changed his government. You won't want to miss his story. That's coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Colette is back with your extended forecast, and spoiler alert, this one actually has some snow in it.
It does have some snow in it. I mean, for some folks, I think they're saying it's kind of about time to see some significant snow, and we have that potential coming up this weekend. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. But first of all, your average high at this time of year still around -2, average low getting closer to -11. And today's high, these are unofficial numbers, but it was a mild afternoon. And in fact, we're looking at some milder readings as we go into tomorrow morning, but then we see things changing because of the cold front passing through. So along with it, we do get a little bit of flurry activity, and especially coming off the lakes because we're going to get into a northwesterly flow. But otherwise, the trend in terms of the cloud cover is that behind this front, through the day tomorrow, we should see less clouds into the afternoon hours and more sunshine. It's just that it's going to get colder because those winds will remain strong, but be coming from the northwest and not the southwest. Overnight tonight, though, still southwesterly flow for southwestern Ontario. -1 as those temperatures come up towards the morning hours, although -2 for London. And then tomorrow afternoon, the temperatures fall through the day. You see the winds shift here northwest, gusting to 50 kilometers an hour. And so by afternoon, these will be what the readings are like, and it'll feel more like -10 to -12. Now, throughout the GTA, still the southwesterly flow again through the overnight hours tonight. Looking at that temperature, nearly steady or coming up a little bit. So we'll say -2 in most cases, -3 for you in Markham, and slightly milder in St. Catharines. Again, some scattered flurry or light snow activity in there, but then we still have that potential in the morning hours, and it falls off significantly as the day wears on. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll start to see clouds pushing away and getting way more sunshine moving in here actually later in the day, but the temperature falling down, as you can see. And even though it's going to say -4 or -5, it's going to feel like closer to -10 or -12. So windy conditions into Wednesday, that clearing trend. Thursday, some flurries, that potential. Look at overnight Wednesday into Thursday, -12. It's going to be a cold one. We get sunshine, a quieter day on Friday. Hey, that's just setting us up for what's coming this weekend. A system developing to the south of us. It's really going to depend on the track, how it skirts through across the lower Great Lakes. But 10 to 25 centimeters, that potential. I know that's a big range for the GTA, and maybe heavier amounts, more than that, coming for southern parts of the Golden Horseshoe. So something we'll be watching significantly. We know it's going to be a cold weekend ahead, Mike.
We have been warned. Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
A Canadian and a member of the Guyanese Parliament has caused a political storm in that country. Sharondas Prasad voted against his own government in a no-confidence motion. He then fled to Toronto after many called him a traitor. Lisa Shing has this exclusive story.
Mr. C. Prasad. Yes. Mr. Figueroa.
The moment that changed the course of Guyanese politics.
Correct yourself. Correct it. No.
A few days before Christmas, MP Sharondas Prasad voted against his own government in favor of the opposition's no-confidence motion. Parliament was at a standstill for minutes as confusion ensued.
Mr. C. Prasad?
No.
Said yes.
Sharondas! No. You gotta vote again.
The ruling coalition had a one-seat majority, so Prasad's vote effectively triggered an early election.
I was not very calm. I was frozen.
Why did you decide to vote against your own government?
When it came down, I had to speak out. They have provided no job. University students come out with a degree and they got to sit down and watch walls.
You were nervous.
Yes, I'm very nervous.
Prasad is also a Canadian citizen. He spent the night of the vote in hiding at Canada's High Commission before boarding a plane for Toronto, where he's now living with family. Here in the GTA, it's been impossible for him to keep a low profile. He's been the buzz of the Guyanese community at home and abroad.
The parliamentarian Sharondas Prasad dropped a time bomb with his significant yes.
It's dominating the Guyanese news cycle. Video of the vote has gone viral. People have even written songs about it.
Sharondas said yes. Now the coalition government is one man less.
But he knows me, yes. The entire Guyanese community will know. At least the face is not something that can hide anymore.
And everyone has something to say, reflecting political tension that's further complicated by racial division. Indo-Guyanese largely support Prasad.
I believe that what he did was in fact
from his heart.
Most Afro-Guyanese say he's a traitor.
I think it's treasonous. I believe that the parliament was betrayed, and I believe that the people of Guyana were betrayed.
Prasad maintains his vote was for the Guyanese people.
What comes next for you?
I am still thinking I could go back. I may want to form a political party.
That could be a ways off. The coalition government hasn't dissolved parliament. It's challenging the no-confidence vote in court, but that's not stopping Prasad from rallying support here while he's waiting. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
I'll tell you this.
Well, this next story proves that libraries are about more than just books. A librarian who works out of the Bloor and Gladstone branch says she helped a patron go from homeless to successfully landing a job. She spoke to us about being part of this very happy ending.
We would see him here during the days. He would mostly rest and enjoy a comfortable, safe space to be. One day, soon later, he shared that I wouldn't be seeing him anymore. Kind of broke my heart because he became one of my favorite patrons to talk to and converse with. He shared he found a home and he'd be moving soon, and that I wouldn't get to see him anymore. Working at the library is not always the easiest thing to do. Surprise! But just hearing that our help actually made a huge impact on his life for the positive made it worthwhile, that all the effort that we do have goes to a good place.
Last week, her tweet about the experience went viral. Batu has been working at the library for about 20 years, and she says the best part of her job is getting to know the regulars and seeing relationships between staff and patrons grow. Congratulations to her. That's a wonderful story. Well, before we go, the latest inductee into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame will be announced tomorrow. Someone to join the ranks of Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell, or last year's inductees, Bare Naked Ladies. Tom Power will speak with that musician tomorrow on Q. I've tried to figure out who that person is, but I can't. The actual announcement is embargoed until 7 a.m. I haven't been able to figure it out myself, so I'll be finding out tomorrow morning. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Good night.